Hey, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at the BlackBerry Leap from 2015 and seeing whether it's still a viable phone to use here in 2021. Now this phone is 6 years old. It was released in 2015, so you should expect everything that I say to be said with relevance to its age. I might say it's fast, I might say the camera is great, but just keep in mind, this is all relevance to its age. It's all with relevance to its age. Just to get that out of the way. Before we jump right in, don't forget to hit that like button. And I'm trying to reach 100 likes on this video, so that's my like goal. A lot of my videos momentums, at the beginning I get up to like 50 views and then it kind of drops off. Liking the video helps me quite a lot. It helps the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, understand what's going on with my video, and it helps promote the video. So despite a lot of you watching the video, not many of you do like the video, and this is I'm talking to my subscribers here, so it would help me quite a lot if you hit that like button and push this video forward so that it gets on YouTube's algorithm. Also hit that subscribe button if you like what you see after the end of this video. Helps me out a lot as well, and check out my social media down below. Now let's jump right into this video. Okay, so first let's have a quick go around of the device itself, but I also want to point out that this is the first time I'm doing this kind of throwback video where I use an old phone in X year without a script. I usually read off a script and talk into a microphone, but at this time, this is the first time I'm trying this out. I'm just recording it off my phone, but as you saw earlier, I'm also doing B-roll B-roll video as well, so it still looks nice. Anyway, this is the front of the phone. It's a pretty minimalist slate black, really professional looking. It's got the BlackBerry logo down here. It's got the speaker grill and camera up there and a bunch of sensors that you really can't see. On this side, we have our volume rockers and our BlackBerry Assistant button. So the middle button is BlackBerry Assistant. Let me show you that in function. Let me press that. It's kind of recessed, so it doesn't always work. You gotta kind of hold it down, and there's your BlackBerry Assistant. It doesn't really work today, and I'll show you why. It's kind of a mess. So volume rocker, BlackBerry Assistant. Up top, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack and the power button. On the other side, we have our expansion slot. So this piece of rubber-ish plastic folds down. It's kind of there's some dust in there. Okay, so we got the SIM card slot and we got the micro SD expansion slot as well, as you see there. This flap is quite sturdy. This is not like a very flimsy flap. This is a really sturdy flap, so that's nice. It sits flush with the body. At the bottom, we have our micro USB cable connector, the micro USB connector, so no USB-C on this. It wasn't a extremely high-end phone to have USB-C. Even in 2015, there are phones with USB-C, but this was not that much of a high-end phone to have USB-C. It has the microphone there as well, and at the back, we have our 8-megapixel camera, flash, 8-megapixel branding there, BlackBerry logo, speaker, and really dotted texture design, as you can see. Well, not dotted, like holes. Feels okay. I don't really like it. It's kind of rough-ish, not rough, like I don't like the texture of a basketball. It feels somewhat like a basketball, and I don't really like it, but it's not bad. It's not like horrible, but it's still great for grip. It's not slippery at all, but I'm not a big fan of it, but then that's always down to personal preference. So, turning on the display, we are greeted with the 5-inch IPS LCD capacitive touchscreen on the BlackBerry Leap. This is a 720p screen, so no 1080 here. 720p by 1280 pixels, which gives it a rough pixel density of around 295 pixels per inch. As you can see, there are some dots on my display, and that's because that's like excess alcohol that I used to clean this phone. I got this phone for like $5 a couple of months ago, and it was broken when I got it. It was heavily water damaged. and I repaired it in the video above, as you can find it there. That's the full repair video if you want to go check it out. I actually got it to work, and for $5 I'm not complaining at all. It's a really good deal. The alcohol residue is still inside the display because I needed the alcohol to clean the phone's motherboard and all the other things that had got water inside them. So please ignore the alcohol residue that you can see there. Alcohol as in rubbing alcohol. So anyway, the display is a pretty decent display. Like I said, a 720p panel. Back in 2015, 720p was still a thing in certain phones. It is somewhat towards the bright side. I wouldn't say it's extremely bright, but it is bright. As you can see, I just made it max brightness. The 295 pixels per inch pixel density is not noticeable. The icons and stuff do not show any pixels unless you look very closely. Overall, it's a pretty darn good looking display. Then again, it's 720p, so again, I'm talking with relevance to that. I said it's 5 inches as well before, so that makes it, well, mid-range for 2015. There were bigger phones, there were smaller phones. It's a run-of-the-mill display from 2015. Nothing too great, nothing too horrible. It holds up pretty decently in 2021. The outdoor performance isn't too great, even though it's bright. The reflective coating on the display kind of sets it off, like the sun reflects off it a bit bad. So outdoor performance is not too great. However, indoor it works fine. It's a perfectly enjoyable display to watch videos. If you're okay with 720p, this display is perfect, no questions asked. So overall, it's a decent display. It'll do the job here in 2021. So the BlackBerry Leap runs BlackBerry OS 10, specifically software release 10.3.3.2137, which was its final update. It got it a couple of years ago, was it last year? I can't remember. But BlackBerry OS 10 is a pretty strange OS, especially the way it handles multitasking. So as you can see here, the multitasking is on the main home screen, and this thing does not have a true main home screen, because when you swipe like this, you get all your apps. So your app drawer is towards your right. When you swipe up like that, it's your multitasking selection. When you pull down like that, you get a bunch of settings, and your notifications are towards this side, towards the left. So it's quite different from other OSs. For example, let me do that again. Let's open pictures. And as you can see, it stays here. Music. Open that. I don't have any music on this thing, but as you can see, it's on your main screen. It's kind of weird, but I kind of like it as well. While I was using this phone throughout this week, I kind of dig that. It's different, and when you're in, you can just use the swipe up gesture to get into your other apps. The quick settings, for example, brightness is not a true setting. It redirects you to your settings app to change the brightness. But then again, stuff like flashlight and rotation lock actually work right away. Now, the App Store on BlackBerry OS 10 is the Amazon App Store. The Amazon App Store does not work properly anymore. It loads, but it does have trouble downloading certain apps. And I do get notifications to my email that the apps have been I've purchased. I have not purchased them, but when you do even select a free app, it sends a notification. So it is working. As you can see, I'm trying to download Candy Crush and Hungry Shark, but it's not really downloading. It's kind of stuck. It will eventually download, but it's still not working its best. It's because this has been out of date for a while and it's not performing as it should. As you can see, it has a bunch of stuff on the App Store. There's paid apps, there's free apps, there's games. There is quite a lot of stuff, and there's a category. Where's categories? There was a division. Here we are, browse categories. So there is you can categorize all the stuff, and when you go to social, you will get a bunch of social media as well, but it's not showing up for some reason. It's not working properly. The search option isn't too great either. I'm not sure if it's just how it was or it's just not working anymore. As you can see, it kind of gets stuck there. It's just either Amazon servers are down because this thing is so old. It does have Facebook and some social media. I could not find Instagram on there though. It has Facebook, Facebook Lite, it has YouTube, but again, as with Windows Phone, if you remember, these are browser-based apps. It uses the browser to use the app, so it's the same with YouTube. Again, it's a browser-based app, so you know how I feel about browser-based apps. Well, everyone feels bad about them because they suck. They're not, that's not how you do it. That was one of the main downfalls of Windows Phone. There's a Lumia 920 sitting there. That was one of the main downfalls of Windows Phone is the browser-based apps. They were not true apps. You were redirected to the browser. I did log on to my Facebook, and not my main Facebook. I did use like a fake account because the security on this is long gone, so it's not as secure as it once was, so I'm not risking that. So the browser on its own, it doesn't work too great. Sometimes if you want to go directly to an address, I hit YouTube there. YouTube loads somewhat quickly, but let's go to Apple's website, a heavier website. It's not letting me go directly to the address, but we'll still go there. So heavier websites do have trouble loading. I did load Apple's go straight to Apple's website, never mind. Oh, right, so the highlighted blue was a direct link to Apple's website. Makes sense. So as you can see, it's not loading fully. It is having trouble loading Apple's website. The images and stuff haven't loaded yet. A simple Google search, let's see, just going to Google loads up fine, but it's kind of a skimped out version of Google. It's not like, as you can see, there's no graphics and stuff, and that's fine as long as it works. But then again, it's all a part of the experience on its own. So the browser isn't the best, but it's not horrible either. It's still usable. It's still usable for Facebook, YouTube, and all that stuff. YouTube videos play, everything works fine. Let me go back and show you a YouTube video that plays. Okay, so I have my channel loaded up here. Let's click on the video I uploaded yesterday. And as you can see, it starts loading. Getting that to pop up sometimes is hard. There you go. Sometimes it just double clicks.
So it's been a couple of days since Apple's AirTags were released, and over the past few days...
Yeah, sometimes you end up closing the thing like that. It's much faster, which is annoying. You get your settings up here. You can go up to 720p because the screen is a 720p screen. So your settings are there, your basic settings. You can also go into landscape mode. Settings are still there. But again, it's your browser YouTube experience. It's not too great. I'll just put the brightness, put the volume to max here. The brightness is also at max. So as you can see, it works fine. And again, that's not coming up. There you go. So it does have trouble because it's a browser player, so it's not great. But it does the job, and it's kind of annoying because the settings and it doesn't work properly. But then again, it's a 6-year-old phone. This is what you can expect. But that was just a quick go around of the operating system and the App Store on the BlackBerry Leap as of 2021. So looking under the hood to see what powers the BlackBerry Leap, we have a dual-core 1.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus, which is the MSM 8960 variant. So MSM 8960 dual core 1.5 gigahertz. It has an Adreno 225 as its GPU. In terms of memory, it has, like I said earlier, a micro SD expansion slot up to around 128 gigabytes. It also has a 16 gigabyte internal memory and 2 gigs of RAM. So the RAM and everything else, the processor, the internal memory, everything is keeping this phone running pretty decently here in 2021. The App Store is slow because of its lack of updates, so don't count that into the speed of the phone. You saw the browser loaded pretty decently, Facebook loaded pretty decently, apps open pretty fast, as you can see there. I don't have anything installed, I don't have any music on, but I have taken some photos, as you can see there. Let me open calculator. Does a pretty decent job opening apps and stuff. Let me open the camera app, as you see there. And as you can see, it can do a pretty good amount of multitasking with these specs. So 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs internal, Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Plus. Multitasking is also a pretty good breeze to do. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it works. As you saw there, multitasking works fine. So the 2 gigs of RAM does hold it up perfectly here in 2021. The specs will keep it working for maybe about a year and a half, another 2 years, but once websites and stuff start changing, Facebook starts changing and stuff changes with time, this will eventually slow down. And by the way, this is with Wi-Fi on, because some phones will speed up when their Wi-Fi is out, when the Wi-Fi is off. But the moment you connect it to Wi-Fi, the phone slows down because the phone has to deal with the connection, data packets coming in, data packets going out, stuff like that. But as you can see, the phone is connected to the Wi-Fi and all the multitasking and stuff works just fine. So that was just a quick look at the speed of the phone and what powers the phone under the hood. So now let's move on to the cameras on the BlackBerry Leap. This phone has an 8 megapixel f2.2 aperture shooter with a 31mm lens. It has autofocus, panorama, and HDR as well. It has a single LED flash, single tone, single LED flash, so no dual tone here. It can record video at 720p at 60 FPS, as well as 1080p at 30 FPS. I'll be putting a slideshow of photos and video in a bit, and on that I'll be using the 1080p 30 FPS instead of 720p at 60 FPS, because obviously despite the frames per second, the better resolution always comes out better. So it will be daytime photos followed by daytime video, and nighttime photos followed by nighttime video. Again, the video will be at 1080p at 30 FPS. When you turn on the phone, you have the camera, quick camera access here, but it does not let you access the camera without unlocking the phone like that first, and then you can hit it, which is quite strange. I don't know why they had it there, but whatever. The camera interface is pretty decent. You click here, you have your quick settings down here: time shift, burst, panorama, and up here switch camera, auto, flash, ratio, HDR, timer, and extra settings as well. You have your face detection, auto suggest, and memory card save and internal memory save, etc, etc. So a pretty decent camera app. I can work with this. I like it. I like the way it's organized. It's pretty decent stuff. Sadly, the front camera does not work due to the water damage, and the camera app gets stuck when I try to turn on the front camera. As you can see there, I'm gonna shut it off. That is due to the water damage, and sadly I cannot give you samples from the front camera, but nevertheless the front camera was a 2 megapixel fixed focus camera. It could record 720p video at 30 FPS, so 720p 30 FPS fixed focus 2 megapixel camera. And just to point out, the rear camera works fine. It has not been affected by the water damage, so take this camera review as a proper camera review for the BlackBerry Leap. I checked with some photos online. I cross-referenced the photos to see what they look like. For example, pictures of trees, pictures of brick walls. They're the same as the ones I took with this phone, so the back camera is not water damaged in any way or in any form. So you can take this as a proper review for the rear camera of the BlackBerry Leap. So here are the photos during the day, followed by video, followed by photos at night, and video at night as well. So as you saw with those photos and video samples, it's an average camera. It's nothing too great, nothing too bad. Sometimes it's overexposed. Most of the time the colors aren't accurate, but then again, this was a mid-range phone from 2015, and that's basically what you could expect from the cameras. The video was decent, decent stuff. Nothing too bad, nothing too horrible, but nothing too great either. Anyway, that was the quick camera review of the BlackBerry Leap. Now let's move on to the next category, which is extra features and battery life. So here's a speaker sample from the bottom firing speaker on the BlackBerry Leap. It is really loud, and something that I noticed is that when it's at its max volume, it does not start to crack. So it's a really decent speaker for a mid-range phone. Actually, a pretty darn good speaker for a mid-range phone, and it does the job perfectly here in 2021. So I put my volume to max, as you can see there, and I'm gonna play one of my videos of my channel. Let me get that to start again. There you go.
Hey, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, I'll be unboxing and setting up the all-new AirTag by Apple. This is the single unit box, which costs $29 on Apple's website. I'll be unboxing it and setting it up for you. Before we jump right in, don't forget to hit that like button. I'm doing my first like.
Okay, so again, you may have seen I had trouble closing the player. That's just because the player has, it's a browser player. But anyway, the speakers were actually quite nice. I actually think they're really loud, by the way. You may have heard that. But they're also not tinny. I mean, I had put it to max volume, but there was a bit of crackling at the end, but it's still a pretty good speaker for a mid-range phone like that. I was really surprised with the speaker. So that was your speaker demo. So the battery in this thing is a 2800 milliamp hour battery, non-user replaceable. The user cannot remove this battery, despite the fact that I took it out, because when I was cleaning this phone out with rubbing alcohol, I had to clean the battery as well, because the battery is water damaged. And because of said fact, because of said water damage, I cannot give you proper figures on the battery life of this phone, because the battery life is quite bad because of the water damage. When I started this review, the battery was at 100%. I charged it in the morning, and now it's at 68%, despite me not doing that much either. The photos and stuff, I took them on a different day, so that's not counted as well. The battery does drop quite fast on this phone. It does not heat up that much, but the battery just does drop quite fast. It's probably due to the water damage. However, the BlackBerry Leap was said to have an average battery life, and it had a talk time of around 25 hours of talk time. So it's an average battery life for a phone from 2015. Again, 2800 milliamp hours, quite a big battery for this phone, because the phone isn't too large either. So decent battery life in terms of 2015 standards. But then again, my phone is damaged. But if you buy a used phone, BlackBerry Leap today, you can expect around 25 hours of talk time and about 300 hours of standby, roughly. Those are numbers taken off the internet. So finally, I can conclude saying that this phone is usable in 2021. However, I wouldn't recommend you go out and buying one of these. They're like $30 to $50 used, depending on the condition of the phone. If it's new, you can get it for around $120. But I wouldn't recommend it, because as you saw with the App Store and the browser and Facebook and stuff, it's not ideal. The camera isn't amazing either, and unless you get it for like $5, then go right ahead. But for $30, $40, you can get a better used phone. You can get an LG Stylo 5. You can get a Motorola E5. You can get pretty decent phones for that price off the used market with functioning Android operating systems. BlackBerry OS 10 is no longer supported. It's gone to crap, so hence why you saw all the issues this phone has. So I wouldn't recommend you getting one of these phones unless you get it for like $5-6. Then go right for it. But yeah, that was the review, the 2021 review of the BlackBerry Leap. and I've answered your questions hopefully. Let me know down in the comment sections below if you do have any more questions regarding this phone and whether you want to buy it or not. But still, please don't buy it. It's not worth the money unless, again, you get it for cheap. Let me know down in the comment section below if you want to know anything else. Hope you enjoyed this review. Thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that like button. Check out my channel as well. If you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in my next video.